All right, this is the end of the session. It is BB's roadmap to success. BB is not with me because he's under the table right now chilling. So basically, we spent the first part of the session kind of going over fundamentals. We went over marker words and when to use them. We went over loading exercise, and we also went over hand targeting. Now, if I don't have it listed above on the write-up, let me know, and I have videos for those things I can send to you so you can watch just that lesson on whatever that one particular thing is. Yes. Now, he just laid down on his own. I didn't ask him to. I said yes, and I petted him on his bottom. So I call it celebrating. It is the absolute easiest way to train a dog, and I have a lot of my clients that adopt it and that are amazed at how easy it is for them, because you won't even realize that you're doing it after a month. He'll just come up to you, say yes, and pet him. He sits down, yes, and you pet him. You're not even aware of they're doing it, but every time you do it, it's a micro dog training session that reinforces coming. You want him to walk, be good off leash at the beach. That starts in your apartment. And when he's doing it on his own accord, you're not trying to convince him. It's genuine to him, and he's rewarded for doing that. So it takes a lot of the baggage. So for the try to get in the habit of doing that. I celebrate eye contact, coming to me, sitting, lying down, grabbing, drinking water, going to the bathroom, of course. Or I don't celebrate that. But the more that you reward him for the things you want, the more often he's going to offer those things to get your attention. Remember, for dogs, all attention is rewarding and validating. So saying, no, BB, don't do that, is the same thing as giving him a treat. So the best thing to do is try to ignore behaviors that you don't want. Now, let's say he jumps up at me. I don't want him to jump up on me. I can ignore that, but he's still jumping at me, he's scratching, he's hurting my legs. I might ask him to sit. If he sits, then I'm going to ask him to lay down. I'm going to ask him to do a couple obedience lessons, and then I say yes every time he does that and give him a pet or a treat. So now I'm kind of focusing on getting him to listen to me, and the good way to get my guardian to pay attention to me is not to jump up at her or whine or bark at her, it's to go sit in front of her. And because of celebrating, we have thousands of puppies who are taking our puppy class. They will come and sit in front of you, and if you don't start petting them, they will resit and resit, because in their mind, that's what works. Whatever works is what your dog's gonna respond to. So get in a habit of doing that. When he does do his whining, I'd like you to give him a counter cue. Tell him to sit or to lay down. Tell him one time. And if he sits, say yes and pet him under his chin. If he doesn't sit, go back to watching TV or whatever it was you were doing. After a while, he'll recognize that if I want her attention, I want that greenie, I better go and sit pretty in front of her. I better lay down. I better do something. It's kind of like a tip of the cap, a little bit of, tiny bit of respect for you, but also you're kind of calibrating for him, letting him know exactly what he needs to do to get the attention from you, to get the greenie, to get whatever it is. Something else I like to do is kind of incorporate asks for the dog before they get things they want. It's called the Premack principle. It means that a less desirable behavior earns you more desirable behavior. For example, if your boss says, hey, once you close the passenger account, then you can punch out for the day. Well, I'm going to close that account early so I can go to the beach and go to Santa Barbara or whatever it is. And so for him, sit, and then I'll prepare your food. Sit, and then I'll open the door. Things along those lines. Now, one thing that I did notice that he didn't like was putting on the harness. So what I was doing for the harness, and I didn't get a chance to fully do this inside, so I'm going to show you how to do it in this video. So I'm going to have a handful of treats in this hand and the harness in this hand, but gather the harness up so you don't have a whole bunch of flopping around. So I had both hands by my back, and this is the one with the harness. So I hold it out, he looks at it, I say yes, then I take it away and give him a treat. I did that about 4 or 5 times, and then the 5th time I held it out, and he went towards it and touched it with his nose. Then I said yes and gave him the treat. So I got him used to doing that, so he was comfortable about doing it. Now, he doesn't like the harness going towards him. So when you do that, I'd like you to do the CER exercise. Grab about 12 treats, hold it up, and sometimes you switch it. Sometimes the treat, the harness is this hand, sometimes it's this hand. And then do it in different parts of your house. So all I gotta do is look at that thing, I get a treat. All I gotta do is touch it with my nose and get a treat. After you do about 3 or 4 times, then what I'd like you to do is hold it so that this is an oval right here that he sticks his head through. And if this is the oval, I'm gonna do it sideways. Stick your hand through it, like all the way to your elbow. Let him have a treat. Then pull it back. Don't move the harness. Next time, stick it in, not this far. Then eventually here. Then eventually you're at your wrist. Eventually you're holding it here. Eventually you're holding it here. He's choosing to come towards the harness. He's sticking his nose through it, then he sticks his nose further. Eventually he will come over and put his whole harness on. So what I'd like you to do for this one is go into your bedroom, close the door, do the CER, or once you've done the CER 4 or 5 times, go in your bedroom, close the door, and do this when you're not taking him for a walk. Because when you're taking him for a walk, you're thinking, I got this many minutes and I gotta do this. Just do it in your house. Make it a game. Then as soon as it is on, take it off, go in the other room, practice again. And each time you do this afterwards, give him a treat.
Yeah.
Now, once you can hold it up and he comes and sticks his nose through, I would add a cue to that one. I would say, uniform. It comes over and sticks his nose through it, and then you attach it and give him a treat. So now he's choosing to do this because you've made it into a positive aspect for him. So practice that. There's a meme that says, practice is not an emergency. An emergency is not a time to practice. So try to practice that 3 or 4 times a day in the house for a week. I bet you by the end of the week, you'll be able to hold it up and he'll just come over and stick his nose in there.
Yeah.
We also went over dog consent. Remember, cutoff signals for dogs include flipping their ears back, ducking their head, turning away, ducking their head and turning away. Baring the teeth is a pretty obvious cutoff signal.
Yeah.
Refusing to come to you, refusing to look at you. And sometimes they'll, like, if you pull out the harness and he goes, like, rolls over his belly, on his back and shows you his belly, he's saying, please don't put the harness on me. We put it on him anyways.
Yeah.
So again, we're not considering the reason why the dog doesn't want the harness. We don't know what it is. But it's easy to change that emotional response, so that exercise will help with that.
Yeah.
So for the cutoff signals, dogs, remember, don't like being petted initially over their head. So the best place to pet is under the chin, on the chest, or the shoulders. Now you could be petting him here, and you're working up on his head, he's fine.
Yeah.
It's just you don't want to start off by going over the head.
Yeah.
That's a domination thing. Now remember, when it comes to cues and teaching him, dogs go through gesture first, then we assign a cue. Now I call this the magic rubber band technique. Let's say I'm a dog and you want me to look this way.
Yeah.
We touch a treat to the lips, so this is a lure. We lure the dog to look over here. But if I don't look, the lure's over here. So what I try to do is I try to imagine there's a rubber band attached.
Yeah.
So if I lure here, it pulls the rubber band back. So I go here, keep on going back to the dog's lips, and eventually get them to turn. Now he's a Shiba, so he is very determined. And so sometimes you have to outlast him.
Yeah.
And that's why when there's something that you know that he's going to be, put his feet and drag his feet on it,
Yeah.
practice when you have plenty of time. Give yourself treats and whatever it is, but let him know, look, I'm just going to keep on at this until we accomplish what I want to accomplish in a positive way. But he's going to kind of push to see if you're equal to the task.
Yeah.
And if you are, then after a while he's going to recognize that doesn't work anymore. I'm just going to do it Katie's way, and then I'm going to get what I want. If I don't, and Katie does it my way, then I'm going to hold out for what I want to do. So whenever meeting, if anybody wants to meet him, again, just ask him, can you hold your hand out and let him sniff you first?
Yeah.
Or hold your hand out, or can I pet your dog? Yeah, we just ask people to hold their hand out so we can judge if he wants to meet you.
Yeah.
How does he tell you that? If he touches his nose to your hand, he's saying that. And if he does, then tell them he likes being petted on the chin or on his chest. They'll kind of do whatever it is he wants them to do. All right, so let me see. For exercise, we didn't talk about this, but there's other forms of exercise. Does he like to play tug of war?
Yeah.
Tug of war is a great way to play burn energy. Just make sure that his energy range doesn't get above 50%, half of his energy. As soon as he gets that worked up, just drop it.
Yeah.
Wait for him to settle down and practice again. Does he like to play fetch?
He does, yeah.
Wow.
That's something we do on the beach, but we don't really. We actually do it at home a little bit too with his squeaky toys.
That's unusual. Shibas are not usually traditional fetching dogs. Any dog can learn skills.
I mean, he'll like sometimes just drop it at a different place, but
Sure.
he'll get into a group sometimes and go get it and then bring it back to me.
Now the way I do it is I like to have the cue involved. So what I do is I pick up the item and I say fetch as I throw it. The dog goes and gets it. I quietly pull out a treat and hold the treat. When he comes to me, I hold the treat to his lips. I don't take the object out of his mouth. I get him to drop it, then I say yes and put the treat in. So I'm saying yes means I say fetch, you go get it, you bring it back to me, and I give you a payment or a reward for doing this. And also sometimes you're in the mood for pizza or for sushi or whatever. Sometimes dogs are in the mood to fetch. If you can, if you're trying to teach a dog to do this, if you can, just put a pause between your sales calls, fetch him for 2 or 3 minutes. Fetch is a wonderful way to burn some energy. The Guardian here is involved in fitness. It's important for dogs. It's good for their mental health as well as their spiritual and their physical well-being. And so, a nice game of fetch is a great way to burn some energy. The Guardian does a good job of letting him sniff on walks, which burns almost twice as much energy if we don't let them sniff, so that's great to do. And then there's other things you can do. Snuffle mat is a floor mat that looks like it's a shag carpet. If you put his food in there, he's got to use his nose to find a kernel, lick it up. This makes feeding him like a short walk. So I feed one of my dogs, he's very stressful and he needs a lot of exercise. I feed him out of his supplement twice a day. That's like 2 short walks that I give him. Now, the Guardian here free feeds him, and there's nothing wrong with free feeding. I prefer not to do it because I want my dog to eat at a particular time. If he's doing it fine, that's fine. But if you want to switch him over, just basically put the food in his bowl and invite him to eat. Now, some dogs are also social eaters.
Yeah.
I'm polite. I don't eat unless my mommy's here to eat with me. So maybe he's waiting for you to eat. Just eat a chip or cracker.
Yeah.
And then if he goes and sniffs his food and walks away, when he walks away, dump the food empty, put the empty bowl back down, and then he doesn't get fed again until the next meal. After about, some dogs will go a day or 2 with being finicky of eating, and then they start eating when you provide the food. Eating is a really important activity for dogs, or food is. And also, I want to build in another opportunity for him to listen to you and be rewarded for listening to you. I'm trying to think, is there anything else you want me to go over?
I think that was it, because we talked about the other stuff in the park too.
Yep.
So.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, well, BB.
Mr. BB.
You're Mr. BB.
Go over there, Mr. BB.
Here, buddy. You're being so soft and so subtle. Well, this is BB down here, and this is BB's roadmap success. There we go.
There we go. We gotta get him.
Gotta get the BB on camera.
Gotta get
There
the
we go.
BB. There he
Yes,
is.
there I am. Well, this is BB,
Yes.
and this is BB's roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.
Yay.